So I'm back and I'm on my phone now to give you fall makeup favorites. And if you're wondering, I just thought if you're wondering about what's on my lips because you think it might make a great fall shade, I didn't put these in my video because I just got them. But I do have these two Hocus Pocus ones. These are lip creams. These are the new lip creams from the Hocus Pocus and Colourpop collection. The shade I have on my lips right now is Tonight We Fly. And then they also have a shade called Hello Boys. And this is just a black shade. It's a black liquid lip. It's a black liquid lip. Well, these are liquid creams. So I haven't put these in my 5 favorites because I just got them. And I don't know how they do for wear time and everything. That's what I'm testing today. So I literally just got this collection in the mail and I'm testing it out. But I thought I would mention it in case you are curious about the liquid lipstick that is on my lips. So let's start off with palettes now. So I do think I just got this palette and it's already quickly become one of my favorites. I just used it today for my look. But I don't care. I'm loving it. And it's going to be like an honorable mention because I did want to use it more. But the Colourpop Hocus Pocus Witching Hour palette, this is their newest eyeshadow palette. And I love. It looks so good. This is definitely a great fall makeup look. It has a bunch of oranges in here, purples. You have that deep teal blue. You can even get like a neutral bronzy look out of it if you want. I don't care what anybody says. I really like this. And it has great tones for the fall time. I did just get it. I did just use it on the makeup look I have today. I did like a Halloween-y halo eye with the deep purple in the outer corners and using the orange shimmer in the middle. I love how it turned out. And I even got my little QT stamp there to a spider. I had to think of it. The next one I'm going to include, even though I haven't used this one yet, and I am going to do a look with it this October, so you're going to have to be on the lookout for it. But I know this is going to make a great fall eyeshadow palette. And this is the Butte Bean and Shroud Cosmetics palette. It's freaking bats. I hadn't used it yet. I did get this, it's such a gorgeous color story. I love this color story. But I did order this last Halloween and I did not get it until springtime this year. So that's the reason why I haven't used it yet. I've been saving it to do a Halloween-y fall look with it. So, I'm definitely going to use this to create a fall look coming soon on my channel. But I know just by the color story that this is a great fall palette. And I cannot wait to use it. Not to mention the way she named the shades with Handbook, Spooky, Apparition, Adams, Sam, Trappa, Grim, Dairy, and Zero. Not only is the palette spooky, but so are the names. And I am excited to try this out. I wanted to include it just because of the color story. But also because I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. I've heard very good reviews on it. The next one I want to include, I loved, and this was released earlier this year, is the Lethal Cosmetics and Teresa's Dead. The Lethal is Dead palette. Now, upon first looking at it, this does not look like your typical fall color story. But I just want to use it because the theme overall is like a 90s, 80s, 90s horror movies. She's got Straight to VHS, The Final Girl, Spellbound, A Watery Grave, A Body Snatched, Ancient Evil, Predator, Creature Feature, and Vengeful Spirit. I do think that this would make an amazing fall time spooky look, especially for Halloween-y time. I don't care. I'm including it. It's one of my favorites since I've gotten it. And I do have a look on my channel. Not the greatest look. I'm probably going to do another fall look with this year. But I do keep it in the sleeve that it comes in. It's the only thing, one that I keep in the sleeve that it comes in. The next one I have here from my fall makeup favorites for palettes is my Raw Beauty Christie and Colourpop at Forest Sight palette. Yes, I did include this one. Look at those tones. How great are those tones for a fall look? They are just gorgeous. I love this. Makes a great fall look. So gorgeous. I love all the shades in here. I didn't have any issues with them. I just love them. And it has like this shade Fiddlehead, which I think is such a great grungy green. I don't know. And I love that even though she included neutrals, it's like a yellowy brown and a mustardy yellow. I don't know. It performs good. It is a matte heavy palette. It only has 2 shades of shimmers in here with Evergreen and West Coast. But I love using this and then going over it with maybe a Super Shock. It's great for that because there's so many mattes in it. So my favorite, and I don't know when this palette came out. I wish it would put like the year they came out on these palettes. But my favorite palette for many years now, for a few years, I want to say this came out in like 2018 maybe, is the Colourpop Good Sport palette. This palette, you guys, look at this color story. This is like the most unique color story that Colourpop has ever come out with. They haven't come out with anything quite this unique in forever. I really like it. It's so colorful, so Colourpop, so fall. I used the heck out of this that fall that I got it and the fall after. I haven't used it in a little bit, but now I don't hate to use it on my channel because they don't make this palette anymore. It was discontinued. You might be able to find them through Macaria or Poshmark or Depop or maybe even eBay, like through a reseller. You might be able to find it, but I don't know how much. They would probably charge way too much for it. But this was one of the best Colourpop palettes that they ever did. And I still love this palette to today. This will be one that will never leave my collection. I love it that much. Okay, the next one is another Colourpop palette, and I had to include this one. I loved it. I don't care what anybody says. People really dogged on this palette too. And it is last year's Colourpop palette. It's the Hocus Pocus Colourpop palette from last year.
Here's some information.
Sorry to be freaky like that. Anyways, this is the Gather Round Sisters. I don't care what anybody says. This was an amazing palette. I love this palette. It's a great fall palette. Look at those grungy greens, even a grungy purples and grungy reds. Yes. This is a great fall palette. People were talking about this being too neutral. I don't get neutral where. Yes, these shades right here are neutral. And these shades right here are neutral. But like these shades right here, none of these are neutral. I don't know. I really liked it. I don't think it should have been dogged on. And I like how they did kind of do it like the spell book. If you look at it like this, and it has like, it looks like pages on it. It's like a spell book. So, I really like this palette. I think it's really good. It has a really good formula. I really enjoyed it. And I was one of the ones that got it last year when it came out. They did re-release it this year, so if you're interested in this, they might still have this in stock, so you'll have to check it out and see. So they did bring a limited amount back this year for Halloween with the other Hocus Pocus collection. So the next one I have is a Natasha Denona palette, and this is the bronze palette. I think this is just a great, if you want like those orangey, bronzy tones for fall, then this is a great, this is a great color story to have, because it really does have those like orangey, bronzy tones in it. I just love, you can get a very cute bronzy orange look out of it. So I do like this for summer and for fall. I think it does great for both seasons. And I really love Natasha Denona's formula. Her formula is so good. The next one is a newer one in my collection, and I have a 5 looks 1 palette on this one, and this is my Natasha Denona retro palette. Nobody liked this palette either. People were comparing it too much to the other retro, but I think, look at this color story. Look at this. I think it just creates a great fall palette. If you were going for that like undead look, you're trying to be a zombie or whatever, I don't know. I'm trying to think a vampire or something. I think this does great to give you like that undead look on your eyes. And I just love the deep berry tones for fall. This is a great fall, I guess, neutral palette. But I love it, and I'm going to be wearing it more this fall. I did 5 looks. I did 5 looks on this palette. So if you haven't checked out that video, you can go check it out. I'll probably have it in the eye up here. But this was a great palette. The next one I have is not available anymore either. You can probably buy it through resellers too. But this is the Beetlejuice, and this is the Waiting Room palette. I do like this Melt Beetlejuice palettes. And this just looks, this is the color story. It has a red color story up top, and then this is like a gray, black color story. I really liked it. I didn't have any issues with this formula. It was a really good formula for me. It worked out really good on my eyes. I love the color story. It's just gorgeous. And to go along with that, I also have the other one in the Beetlejuice collection, the Recently Deceased palette. And this is just like grungy greens, grungy purples. It's gorgeous. I love this. I got this when it came out too. It's no longer available, but maybe you can find it through resellers. But I just love pulling out my Beetlejuice palettes for the fall time to use, especially Halloween-y. Next we have, this is probably one of my all-time favorite fall palettes. It's right up there with my Good Sport palette. This one I know I would never get rid of no matter what. And this is my Alter Ego Artemis palette. Now this is a dupe for a Natasha Denona palette, one that I'll never pay the price for because I think it's one of her $129 palettes. And it looks like this. Look at that color story. Tell me this is not fall in a palette. You got all those grungy greens, golds, oranges. Oh, there's even some deep teals in here. Some bronzy shades. You got everything in this palette. So this is supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. And I think that palette's $129. And that's expensive. I can't remember how much I paid for this palette though. It might have been like $20. I think they still have this on their website too. So if you didn't get it and you're wondering about this palette performed so good. It was one of my favorite palettes. I don't remember, did it come out last year? I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before. But I think it was last year this palette came out. And I just loved it. Loved it. I still love it. And it's one of my favorite color stories that I have for fall. This last palette I put in here for packaging alone because I had to. This is the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette. And I seen where he came out with the Moonspell Volume 2. And I want that palette too. But I don't know if I'm going to have money to get it. But hopefully I will before it's gone. Because this one is no longer available on his site. But he does have the Moonspell Volume 2. If you missed out on his witchy, I just love it. He even did like the gold pages on it. And it is just looking like a spell book. So cool. And then I loved his inspiration. Here's the inside. This is more of a, I guess you wouldn't really call this a fall color story. But I love it because he based this off of the witches on TV shows and movies. You have Prue, Piper, Phoebe, and Paige from Charmed. There's Sabrina from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. There's Winifred, Sarah, and Mary, and that is from Hocus Pocus, of course. Then there's Samantha. There's Kiki. There's Hermione, of course. Then they have Bonnie and Marnie from Halloween Town. Nancy and Fiona. So I love that he included and it did it like from like all the witches. That really got me. And I haven't seen his video on his newest palette yet, but I need to watch it. But I already know I want it. I think it's the same concept, that it's off of witches too, but different witches from TV and movies. But you guys, I love this palette. I'm so glad I have this palette and I bought it. It's never going to leave my collection either. Just aesthetically alone, not only is Lunar Beauty's formula freaking amazing, like everything blends so easy. It's so pigmented. I love it. And I didn't get it out. Maybe I should. Maybe I should not be lazy and get it out. So I ended up going. And grabbing two more that I really just didn't want to move stuff off of my shelf back there to include. But I still feel like I need to include them. So next is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. I know, hear me out. A bad rap. People hate this palette. I got this after seeing the review from Teresa is Dead. Hold this in here. And this is that palette. I think you don't need this palette if you have the Artemis palette, because I think there's like some shades from the Artemis palette. See? So you can definitely get a color story from this, but I had this before the Artemis. I got this at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. And this palette has been popping up again in TJ Maxx and Marshalls if you want to use it. This is a beautiful color story. I didn't have any issues with this palette. I did hear that they reformulated it, and the ones in TJ Maxx and Marshalls is a better formula, so maybe that's why. But I do love this color story for fall. I just think it speaks. It's fall on a palette. Everything but this shade we got going on over here in this peach. Everything over here, fall. Grungy. Gorgeous. And it's one of the only Anastasia palettes I have besides the Jackie Aina palette. Which mentions the Jackie Aina palette would probably make a good one too. But anyways, the last favorite fall palette is from Melt Cosmetics too. And it is the She's and Parties palette. And wait till you see the color story. That is why I included it. It has these deep, grungy, purple plum shades. If you've been wanting a plum palette and you're just not satisfied with any other purple plum palette out there, this one is a great one. It's so good. This is definitely the good Melt formula. And I know people say that the formula is inconsistent with Melt, but I haven't seen that out of what I've tried. I've only tried, though, this She's on Parties palette. I've tried that one, and I've tried the these Beetlejuice ones. And all of these have the same really great formula. I don't have any issues with them blending. They have great pigmentation. I don't have no problems at all with any of my Melt palettes. So I don't know what people are talking about when they talk about them having an inconsistent formula. Because so far, I think from what I've used, I've liked the formula. So, but I really love this palette for fall. It's more of a monochromatic type of look thing. But you cannot deny it has some great grungy, purpley, plum shades in here. And you guys, that is it. I feel like this is probably going to be a longer video too, just because I showed a lot of fall palettes. But those are all my favorite fall makeup. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. And next to the subscribe button is the bell. You can ring that so you can be notified of all my future uploads. And I hope you guys have a great day, night, weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this. And I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.